Happy Wednesday, everybody. Yes, it's Wednesday, and we have Inside the Pigskin, and Candy and I are producing this show in Mobile, Alabama, the home of the Senior Bowl people. So with that said, I want to welcome the crew here. Tom Shanahan, who's always flexible and great. God stuff, Tommy, for being here on the show. You're getting this is an extension of the Saturday show. And yes, we are going to do a Saturday show after all, because we get to do it early and they don't mind doing it at 7:30. We'll get up at 6:30. What's another hour anyhow? These things only last about an hour. And then we go to the game and freeze our tail off, right? Candy is in here.
Yes, it's going to be a cold one on Saturday, but hey, I love talking football, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. We're going to have a good time.
She's a Wisconsin girl. She'll be all right.
Yeah, she's an Indiana girl too, so don't let her off the hook with that. But the reality is it's been cold, but we're getting a lot accomplished here out in Mobile. I'm really pleasantly pleased with the hospitality that the folks at the Senior Bowl have gone out there and given us, and it's really good. So, all right, Mel, glad to have you back on.
Hey, great to be back.
And, of course, Marvin Powell III. I'm still trying to get you trolled. It hasn't worked out yet, but I'm trying, Marvin. I got one more chance to do it tomorrow. I'm trying.
Well, it's okay. Candy sent me a picture of Jacoby Lane, one of the premier receivers going into this year's draft, and I appreciate that, Candy. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get him on our side. I've been looking him down, but trying to get players after practice is not easy if they don't fall into your lap. And that experience, Candy, tell them what it's like to try to get players afterwards. What a grab bag it is.
So basically, they're divided into two teams, the national team and the American team. The national team actually practices first from like 1 to 3, I think it is. And then at 3 o'clock, they allow media down on the field from the 30-yard line to the end zone. And the players can migrate over there. And you get a total of a 10-minute period to talk to as many or one or however many players you can get or find. And so all of the media are trying to get different people. So it's kind of a free-for-all. And whoever you get, and if you
got to get the kicker, man. I'm sure he's long.
They've got to finish before you can. So
got to get the kicker.
Well, you know, it kind of reminds me of speed dating, the way this thing is.
Never done it, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, it is. If you've been here, you understand what I'm talking about, speed dating. But you'll be surprised how many people I got my microphone under.
No, we used to go to SC and get all the gals. We do that speed dating stuff.
I wouldn't doubt it. Give Tommy a little patient thing.
Yeah, just so you know, we knew y'all was coming. Those wasn't girls. LA, baby. You got to check your throat. Keep going, Scott.
So there you go, Tommy. Look what you get a sample of here tonight, man. Tom, I swear to God, of all the shows we've done together, and you and me, Tommy, have done a lot of them, this would be the most entertaining show you ever. Rachel dropped out in the last minute because, for all I know, he doesn't know anything about college football anyways. It's okay, Steven. And Ben has a commitment on Wednesday. What do we end up? We fall into the Fab Five. I mean, you, Tommy, how many
kids are on each side?
Yeah, that's all right. Listen, that Saturday show's a blast, and we brought in Steve Ballesteri to take your place on Saturday. Steve, he wants to come on. He's going to come on once in a while on Saturdays too. He had nothing but good things to say about you and what we had done with this show before. All I did was add Tommy, and he brings a dimension like nobody does because
I appreciate Tommy.
College football and Tommy, you're the biggest asset on the planet. I'm proud of you.
Tom, I want to get you in touch with Jerry. I think you guys would have a good conversation.
Jerry
Levias. Have you ever spoken to him?
I've been trying to call him.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get you in touch with Jerry. I'm gonna try to get you and Jerry on the phone.
Okay.
Well, don't worry, Tommy.
What's that?
You got my number?
No, but I'll get it.
Okay.
You know, Jerry, I gotta get to him first.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Here's what we're gonna do. If Steven Reichel cancels 1 or 2 more shows because he don't know anything, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have you host Inside the Pigskin, not him, when Candy and I go out of town. You ready to do this, Marvin?
Just give me the damn ball, like Keyshawn say.
There you go, Candy. We're gonna have to groom this guy up. We got 2 months to get him straight, so it's okay. All right, we'll let him. We'll give him the king. I'll tell Steven. You'll tell him. I'll say, hey, Steven, One of the requirements of the job is you have to learn a little bit about college football. And don't worry about the fact I'll give you the abbreviated version of it because you can't read my penmanship. So what? College football is necessary. But Marvin, I got some ideas here for you. Don't worry. We have a couple of months so I can get you on track to host this bad boy.
I mean, how does he not like college football? I don't understand that.
What's that?
How does he not like college football? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we don't know bare knuckle, whatever you call it.
I have no interest in bare knuckle fighting.
He does. I get
That's
tons
just
of reels
ridiculous.
I get tons of collaboration and reels on it. I hope you're listening, Stevie. I'm busting your chops. It's okay. I love you anyway.
Unless Marvin and I do it, it won't be for charity.
I bet.
It'll be for bragging rights.
Yeah, there you go, Tommy. This is what you're in for, my brother. Hey, Tommy, I got a proposition for you. Okay, if you're interested. Okay, you don't have to do it. You should come on this Saturday and watch these guys go at it with some of these real USC topics, even if you come out for a half an hour, 40 minutes.
The only problem is you'll notice I'll have no hooks. My shoulders are done. I have no hooks. It's all going to be in the middle. It's going to be inside and tight. I have no hooks.
Well, Tommy, it's up to you. If you don't want to come on Saturday morning this time just to watch the match, fine. If you do, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't, it's either way. I mean, we'll be doing it here. I mean, it'll be early for us. You get out there. I don't know what time we're allowed to get there. We're trying to get parking over there. Although University of South Alabama is a pretty cool place to actually host the event, and we're going to be doing a little mini video over at Ladd People Stadium where they held the game for many, many years as well. So it's University of South Alabama campus. You haven't been here. It's a really cool place. It really, really is. So all right, let's get to it. I'm enjoying all this conversation about Mobile. I won't charge them for the tourist fee because it's okay. We're having a ball here anyhow. So now, Paulus, that's pretty interesting. Hey, Kenny, you know what I like about your computer? I can actually read this thing pretty good. Everything is very clear here over compared to the one I have. Oh my God, you may have lost a computer, Ken. I don't know. All right, anyways, let's get to the agenda. And we'll start over in London. Arizona State is expected to play Kansas in London at Wembley Stadium on September 19, 2026. One of the things you get to look forward to. This marks the first ever college game at Wembley. Tommy, your thoughts about one college game? At least you're going to Wembley. It's not so bad. It's not the Mideast.
Yeah, well, it seems to be the trend. They've been playing those games over in Ireland for several years now. So it seems to be a trend that colleges want to try to make their season more attractive, maybe to recruits or fans in general. And the timing for Kansas, it makes sense because they're remodeling their stadium and the seating capacity will be reduced for this season. So it makes sense for Kansas, and Arizona State had to agree to sign on to it. And I'm sure they see the benefit of it too.
Candy, your thoughts about college game going to Wembley?
I think they're emulating the NFL, and they see the NFL's doing it. The NFL's making money. You can sell much more college merchandise over there because they're not used to those schools. I think, and it gives the college kids a chance to go to a place that maybe they haven't been to before. So I think it's cool. And especially like if Tom said, if it was a Kansas home game and they're remodeling their stadium anyways, go for it.
Well,
yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I think it's good for the kids. Get some exposure. At that young age, get some exposure, see someplace else, see how other people live in different parts of the world. I mean, God didn't create this world just for some folks. I mean, He created it for everybody. Right. And they'll have an opportunity to go see another part of the world, see a different culture. Especially when you go someplace like London and understand, how old that country really is. You get to see some of the old buildings, and then you can kind of relate some of that stuff to some of the history books, the things that you've read in history books, if you're that type of a thinker. But I mean, I think it's great for them that they get that type of exposure.
Marvin,
listen, this is not a sport; it's a business. And
right.
These schools and the conference, they're out for one thing, and that is to make money. Period. They're no different from McDonald's, Chrysler, or AT&T. With that said, these aren't major elite programs. It's really smart because if you look at the NFL games that go to London, I mean, those fans are going crazy. They sell out. They sell out fast. Okay, and if you can get your school, in another country, another continent, and you can build your fan base like that, you'd be surprised how it impacts your university moving forward in regards to merch and disenrollment and everything else. So I think there's definitely a bigger play for both of the schools there. I think they see tremendous opportunity, but no doubt about it, man. This is a money grab. Football is an American sport that's growing. It's really growing, and this is an effort just to push that brand, push these brands, and push this game, and really drive revenue. Smart move. I'm with it.
Well, I'll say this about it. Anything you get Wembley Stadium involved, I'm totally all. The Jacksonville Jaguars have survived because of Wembley Stadium. I mean, and Wembley Stadium to me is the elite of all the stadiums out in Europe. It really simply is. It began with Wembley, and then it began to circulate in other places. So, yeah, I'm glad that the college game has decided to utilize Wembley, and Arizona State's a good program, and Kansas under Lance Leipold, they're actually a pretty good program as well. I was hoping that, honestly, if Kyle Whittingham didn't get the job, that Lance Leipold would have gotten the Michigan job. But Michigan got a good guy, but Lance Leipold has done a good job in Kansas, and he's had some great success, right, Candy, at your alma mater, University of Wisconsin at Whitewater. So, to me, I think it's really great all the way around. Let's continue keep going here on Inside the Pigskin. We're doing this on Wednesday night. Anzalone is expected to reunite with Aaron Glenn and join the Jets this offseason. Anzalone provided leadership for the Detroit Lions and worked with Dan Campbell. Some thoughts about that, Tommy?
Boy, there's a lot to think about there. I mean, he's going to leave. The Lions are coming off a disappointing season, of course, but he's going to be leaving a winning program for a losing program. So I guess it says a lot about how much he respects Aaron Glenn, that he would be willing to make that move. And I guess there's other Lions that are talking about it too. And then the other side of the coin is, boy, you'd think guys would want to keep playing for Dan Campbell. So I really find that a puzzling, surprising, not puzzling, but surprising.
Candy?
Yeah, I find that surprising too, because I always thought Dan Campbell was a great coach and a great leader of men. And so it really surprises me that he would make that move. But hey, sometimes you get with another coach that really touches you, and maybe that's what happened. But as a Packer fan, I'm not all that, sad about it, because I think he's a really good player. And so if he's not in my conference, probably all the better. But
No.
So what, he made that decision, or these are rumors that he's going to be leaving?
I
Going to
have
the
a
Jets?
gut feeling it's going to happen. I really do.
Oh, you just have a good feeling. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he wasn't very happy last year, Anzalone. He had to hold out, if I'm not mistaken, for some money. He wanted more money. They didn't want to pay him any more money. I think they might have come to a meeting of the minds of some sort, and he went ahead and played on whatever it was that they paid him last year. I mean, he can go to New York and get some money. I mean, right at this point in his career right now, everything is strategic. And right now, he's looking for an opportunity for a payday, and he'll probably get to play a little bit more over there as well. But obviously, he's been a vital part of that defense and what they do, that identity. Aaron Glenn was there, obviously, and some of his best years have been with Aaron Glenn as the defensive coordinator. So obviously, he may not be as much attached to Dan Campbell as he is to Aaron Glenn, and think that that's the best opportunity for him, and it's the best place for him to get a paycheck.
Well, you said a mouthful, and I'll tell you why you said a mouthful, because those two worked together when they were with the New Orleans Saints. So there's that little Saints loyalty that he has going back. And listen, I don't know what's going on, honestly, with Aaron Glenn out in New York. I mean, one minute he's getting rid of this coordinator, the next minute he's getting rid of this guy. So, obviously, I give him 2 or 3 years before he melts down in New York, and he's already done with one. I know he's talking to Frank Reich, and they're trying to work out a deal, but nothing's been finalized there. But this is a desperate Aaron Glenn you're talking about. You really are. And they need to really get it figured out in the draft with their quarterback situation. Believe it or not, after what I saw today at the press conferences, and I got a few questions in for Diego Pavia, who's actually turns out to be a pretty good kid. He might be a
Don't say
brash
that.
personality, believe it or not, that could fit in with that insane New York market.
Don't say
Don't want to
that.
get far off topic with it. I mean, I'll tell you, Mel, this kid's a different animal. And Bird, maybe we'll talk about it more on Saturday if we get time, or for sure next Tuesday. But you know, desperate times are what they are for.
Would you hitch your wagon to him?
What's that?
Would you hitch your wagon to him?
What, Pavia? I'll tell you
Yeah.
one thing, the most brash individual I've ever seen. I even asked him,
That's great. Muhammad Ali was brash too, but he can't play football. Can the guy play the position?
well, you're setting me up for the next segue, so let me get to it, okay?
I'm sorry. My
Great
bad.
minds think alike. It's okay. You're fine. No, I mean, the bottom line is I think Aaron Glenn's in a desperate situation. If Alex Anzalone could get a lot of money to play in New York and be the captain, and I repeat, captain of that defense, which it needs all the help it can get, that's another animal altogether. But I don't know. If the Lions lose Anzalone, I think what will happen is you've lost the heart and soul of that defense. I'd like to see who you're going to have to replace the heart and soul of leadership. Leadership, to me, is one thing he brings in intensity. Marvin?
Yeah, listen, I like the fact that Aaron Glenn knows this kid and he's comfortable and he wants to bring him in, because really what he's trying to do in year two is create culture, really create culture. And he's bringing a guy in who came from a good culture when they were all together, all of them being Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell. They had a good situation up there, and he's trying to repeat that same thing in New York. The problem is we need more than just this. We do. Leadership matters, number one. Scott, you're talking about giving him 2 or 3 years? No. Listen, Aaron Glenn. I thought Woody Johnson was going to put a rug from under him at the end of the season. I know he said around week 12 that he'd be staying, but the whole season was such a disaster, and it ended in such a disaster. And the fact that Aaron Glenn picked the wrong quarterback by letting Aaron Rodgers walk, and all Aaron did obviously was take his team to the playoffs. That stings, man. That stings. And then from there are other decisions that were made in game, at the press conference, things that were said, and you just wonder if the job is too big. There's a difference from being a defensive coordinator to being the head coach. It's not the same. I haven't done it, but I've been in a room with them. It's not the same thing, okay? And you have to be a certain caliber coach. You have to be, a certain way, just a certain type of professional. And Aaron's professional, but I just don't, But before we talk about add-ons to the team, let's talk about who the quarterback's going to be. Because if we have the same situation we had last year at quarterback, then we can have the 85 Bears defense. They're going to get drugged because they're going to be on the field all the time. So listen, I'm happy we got a good guy, a good player who's apparently a good culture guy. But, I have questions about our leader. I have questions at quarterback. And it doesn't matter who we bring in. If we don't get those two things right, nothing else matters.
Well, you're right, 100%. Okay, Justin Fields was a big mistake, and then you made a mockery out of the way you said Aaron Rodgers, need you here by flying him across the country to tell him when you could have done it with a Zoom call. I mean, I still don't like it. I'm just telling you, there's certain ways to do things and certain ways you don't. Give him a Zoom, say we don't need you to be done, and Woody Johnson, we all know he's a train wreck anyways. But Justin Fields was a mistake anyhow. And you saw what you ended up having. You have a coach. You're right. That job's way too big for him. But going in New York's a different, let alone the Jets. It's one thing to not go to the Giants or whatever, but they've won Super Bowls. They've been to Super Bowls. The Jets have only won one many, many years ago, when most of these people on this panel outside of Tommy and I weren't even born. I don't know if you were, Mel, but the Jet situation is desperate.
Yeah, I was born.
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, I don't know whether Frank Reich's the answer. Should they bring him in? But again, I like Frank. He's a friend of mine. If anybody can get that offense straight, he can. But I hope he gets a lot of money, because he's getting paid a lot of money for places that aren't any good anyways. We could talk about this forever, but I'll tell you what, one of the things I've been talking to players about here at the Senior Bowl is something I'm about to talk to now. And that's this. 8th year of college football. Get this. Miami's Mohamed Toure will play his 8th season of college football in 2026. 8 people. He started in college football career in 2019 at Rutgers, in the same recruiting class as Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix, all of whom have already been in the NFL for 3 to 4 seasons, but because of injuries, he's only about to enter his second full season playing from start to finish. Tommy, what are your thoughts about this situation with?
Well, it shows you how much different football is. It's kind of understandable when you look at his case because he had 2 years completely wiped out by injuries, and then everybody got the COVID year. So that's 3 years.
Right.
And 5 years is not unusual for college football. It used to be, though, that a guy might redshirt when he started his career as a freshman, and then somewhere in the 4 years that he played, he lost almost all the season to an injury, and he petitioned to get a 6th year. And it was unusual, but it did happen. But it happened for guys who didn't have an NFL future, and that's why they wanted to stay in college. I don't know what this guy's NFL future is, but I'm guessing he's decided he can make more money at Miami in college than trying to make an NFL team, and that's part of it. So it seems like a really strange and odd story, but the COVID year is packed in there, and formerly the NCAA wouldn't care about 2 years of injuries, but now they do.
Yeah, well, and you just said there, Tommy, 2 years of injuries. That's unbelievable. They even get to 8 years with all that to begin with. So, Candy, obviously, we've been talking to players about it, and we'll probably get into more details about what we've accomplished later in the weekend, if not next week. But what are your thoughts about Mohamed Toure getting 8 years from Miami?
Yeah, he was selected team captain and named the Butkus Award watch list as the nation's top linebacker prior to the 2024 season, before his season-ending injury. And that was, he missed both the full season of 2022 and 2024. But in his breakout season in 2023, under current Miami defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman, posted career best totals of 93 tackles and 9.5 tackles for loss while adding 4.5 sacks. He was named to honorable mention All Big Ten team following 2023, posted 52 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks in 2022. So he's a good player, just got bit by the injury bug. We'll talk more about whether we think people should have how many years of eligibility and they be playing. And one of the things that I would ask is he still in school? Is he still taking classes?
Right.
That would be my question.
Yeah. Yeah, we know a lot about that, and you're setting up a good situation that now that we have a Saturday show that, after all, that who knows what we'll be talking about. Now, and Tommy, let me know if you want to be a part of this circus, because that's exactly what Saturday is. It's a circus. It's much different than anything structured here. I mean, it's structured, but it's a circus between these two guys. All right. Well, anyways, Mel, some thoughts about Mr. 8-Man Toure.
I mean, I know when I was playing, I couldn't wait to get out of college. I was trying to get out of college as quick as I could to get to a place where I could play football and not have to go to class. Obviously we didn't have it. We're trying to get paid. These guys are staying in school for a reason, and he's not even. Miami had a guy there last year that was in his 9th year of eligibility. He started at Oregon in 2016, and he had 9 years in college. That's a decade in college. I don't see it. I don't. Now, look, I understand it's Miami, South Beach. I understand. College is the last place where you get to make all your decisions at somebody else's expense. And so I can understand that. Once you get out there in the real world, you got real world problems. You got big boy problems. You got to put your big boy underwear on. There, you're still, under the guidance of your parents and whatnot. You're still considered a college kid, even though you're grown. I mean, he might have a wife and kids and a mortgage at that point in time. I mean, I know I did when I was 25 years old. I had a wife, 2 kids, and a mortgage at that particular time. So staying 9 years, I wasn't trying to stay 9 years in school. There was just no way. I understand South Beach is nice, but I don't know why they want to stay 8 years. I mean, he petition is for 18. I understand he probably doesn't have an NFL future, and he wants to get an opportunity. He's just holding on to this as long as he possibly can. Just like I kind of did with my last 2 girls growing up. I just kind of squeezed every ounce of it because I knew there wasn't any more coming behind them until obviously I had grandchildren.
Marvin?
Yeah, when I was to echo what Mel's saying, when I was in college, I had a goal. I had two goals: get my degree in 4 years, and then find myself into an NFL training camp. That's all I wanted to do. That was the goal from day one. Turned down an opportunity to redshirt because again, it was 4 years. Look, if you're NFL then you're gonna get it done in 3, 4, 5 years. That's just what it comes down to. If you're really then you're gonna be out in 3. Okay. So guys who are around 6, 7 years, them dudes ain't going to the league. It is what it is. And with today's opportunity to get paid and get money, I'm not mad at him for staying in school because he's getting something. You know what I mean? He getting, especially at UM, he's getting something. So I get it, man. I get it. I just hope, to Candy's point, I hope he has his degree already, number one. And I hope that he's doing something towards some type of graduate work because, I understand these guys want to get their degree and take underwater basket weaving just to stay eligible after that point. But there's a tremendous opportunity there if you're in college for 8 years. So again, I hope he has his degree. I hope the NIL money he's been getting, he's done some with that. And, I'm not mad at this kid for sticking around, but I think as a whole, as a general rule, we can't have this. It's ridiculous. There are certain circumstances where kids should be giving years back. I'm with that. But 8 years, I mean, there's an issue in the system. So we got to figure that out. But hey, good luck to
The guy that stayed 9 years, he got his undergrad and he got his bachelor's. His master's. He got his master's as well.
I knew what
in 9 years.
You're going to go that far. You might as well have a doctorate to it.
Yeah, I was going to say. You can get your doctorate. You're going to be there hanging around that long.
8 years. Give me a break. 8 years. Listen, I remember many years ago, Tom, you remember the show Welcome Back, Kotter? Really?
Yeah.
These guys used to stay around forever because they like picking on the teacher. And you always like to see these clowns picking on. This is not Welcome Back, Kotter. This is college football, people. It's unbelievable.
I wasn't a college athlete.
Because I don't want people to go deaf on this show. My voice is cracking.
I wasn't a college athlete, but I had the same attitude. I wanted to get out of college in 4 years and start in the real world. But later, I think I realized, boy, there's no better environment to spend your life than in a college campus.
No, you're right.
And I know I had some, when I worked in San Diego, I had some San Diego athletes that would call me later. A girl she played on the field hockey team at Duke, and she was trying to decide between a master's and I guess an internship she had been offered at a Washington law firm. And I told her, I don't know how prestigious this law firm is, but if I had it to do over again, I'd stay in college as long as I could. And I don't mean staying in college as a student. I mean just being in a college environment, a professor, working in the athletic department, whatever.
We know what you mean, Tom.
Yeah, there's just nothing better than a college environment.
Michigan State was a party school. We know.
Well, let me tell you, University of South Florida, when I was going, was a commuter school. We didn't have college football back then. If it weren't for Jim Levitt, which, who built that program from scratch, it wouldn't be relevant to begin with. But that's another story that could get me rolling anyhow. But give me a break. 8 years. God. I got a lot of things I had to say about that. But I'll tell you what, the nicest part about the Senior Bowl here is we actually get to see guys hungry enough that want to play pro football. We do. These are guys that are playing at the best all-star game that there is, and they want to play pro football, people. That's what they know. We don't hear anything to do with NIL or transfer portal. They'll look at you, go to the NFL. All right, well, let's talk about the big story of the Senior Bowl. And you guessed it, Diego Pavia, 5'9" and 7/8" is what his actual official height measurements are for him. And his ReliaQuest Bowl stats versus Iowa were 25 of 38, 347 yards, 3 TDs, 0 interceptions. He was listed at 6 foot on Vanderbilt's team website. Now, I'm going to tell you what, this was a point that we were talking to him about, and I was joking around with him. You ever heard of Doug Flutie? Because most of these guys don't know about the old timer, but he does. They said, yeah, actually, I have heard of him. I got to meet up with him at the Heisman Trophy Awards. He's a pretty cool dude. And then everybody started peckering about this, and he downplayed the size. But here's a question I'm going to ask you guys, okay? At what point or another, you talk about the schools are more responsible for this than the athlete. that they promoted him at 6 foot, let alone the fact that 5'9" and 7/8. Is this popular, Marvin, that schools will go out there and try to exaggerate a little bit to try to get their guy?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, I think these schools want to pump up their kids. These schools want to promote their kids to be the big boys. And listen, he's a quarterback. And the reality is you don't see a bunch of 5'9.5" quarterbacks in the NFL. You only have so many Doug Flutys. Drew Brees is, he's barely 6 feet, if he's 6 feet. And, he looks short out there to me. You have to be a certain caliber athlete. I think about Kyler Murray. I think Diego is good, but he's not Kyler Murray. I mean, Kyler Murray is an explosive. When he's on the field, he's arguably the fastest and quickest dude on the field, hardest dude to tackle. That's who he is. Diego's not that, So I think, I'm not mad at the school for pumping those fake stats at all. But the reality is, I think, it's the size of the man that matters. But there's a reason why you haven't seen so many quarterbacks under 6 feet successful. You know what I mean? And if you are under 6 feet, you better throw it like Drew Brees, literally. So, I think it's normal. I think all schools do it. They had me listed at 250 pounds when I was in high school. I was like 192. I looked 250. True. No, that's true. Anyway, in my pads, I looked like I was 250, but I was 192 and just lean, just a raw killer headed to SC. Yeah. Anyway, Scott, it's normal. It is normal.
Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, we were having, actually all of us here at the media were having a ball with it. And the kid didn't even mind talking about it, right, Candy? The way that he was so candid about the whole thing. It's like, it wasn't a big deal to him. And the question I actually asked him, I actually asked him about Johnny Manziel, which we're going to play on a future show. And then I'll also ask him about whether he thought his draft stock would go up because he was leading Vanderbilt of all teams. The most irrelevant school in SEC until they put them on the map. Those will be things that we put in future shows. We won't get on now. So, Mel, do you agree with Marvin that this is something that colleges do a lot?
Yeah, colleges do it. I did it in high school. I was 6'1", 205 my senior year. I was 5'11", 195. Pros do it. Charles Barkley, he said he's 6'6", but people say he's like 6'4.5". LeBron James did it with his son. Bronny is supposed to be 6'4". He's 6'2". I mean, they've been doing it since the beginning of time. And one of the first things that you do when you're playing an opponent is you look at the media guide, you look at the scouting report. The first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna see what the size and weight is of the person that you got to go against and see see what you got to deal with. See if you got to bring, if you can kind of take it easy, or if you got to, you got to bring a whole load, to just kind of get your mind right as to what you can anticipate as far as the physicality is going to, it's going to be. And now sometimes you can't let that stuff fool you because they're small guys at Fresno State, but they were bringing the wood. I can tell you that. But sometimes you get a big guy, like they had a couple guys at SC, man. They were big guys, but they were soft, man. We deal with them, be 6'5", lanky, but they didn't have no heart. They didn't have no heart whatsoever. But yeah, they do it all the time. I mean, all the time.
All right, so Tommy, what are your thoughts about this whole situation?
I wish I would have had those type of coaches in schools. I only played high school sports, and I'm a legit 6'3". I'm shrinking now in my old age, but I was 6'3" over, and my high school coach listed me at 6'2", and I was skinny as a rail and proud of being 165 because that was the best I could do, and he had me down at 160. And I was angry about it. And he said, "Oh, we want to, list ourselves as being smaller and scrappier and surprise these guys." And for me, being that skinny, I wanted every pound I could get, and I certainly wanted to be proud of being 6'3". So it's another example of I should be able to sue my high school coaches for malpractice. I had such bad high school coaches. I've talked about this before. When I was around great high school coaches as a sports writer, I realized what I missed out on. But as far as Pavia, hey, Doug Flutie was only 5'9", but Doug Flutie could command a team. And not only was very talented, he was very talented, he could command a team, and he had the respect of his teammates except for when he was at Buffalo and he and the quarterback, I forget his name, they didn't get along. And then you have the other end of the spectrum, we have Johnny Manziel. both these guys, Finley, both these guys were called midgets. The Bears called and Marvin Harrison called Johnny Manziel a midget. Manziel wasn't 6 foot either, but Manziel didn't have the command of a team or the respect of his teammates, and he popped off a lot. Pavia, I hope he's from his Heisman experience, sounds like he's more like a Johnny Manziel than a Doug Flutie. So we'll see. He can't be ruled out just for his height. He's got to have something to go with it too, besides talent. He's got to have some leadership and command respect.
I mean, it's not to say that he can't play in the league. He's just not going to be a number 1 draft pick. Now, he's going to have an uphill climb. He's going to have a serious uphill climb, and he's not going to get very many opportunities. So he's going to take advantage of, make the most of the opportunities that he does get. He may not make it in his first year or two. Maybe in the UFL, he could put up some big numbers over there and maybe get a shot being a backup somewhere. But it's going to be an uphill climb for him. I know Scott wants him for the Jets. And Scott will put him with the Jets as a starting quarterback.
Well, hey, don't laugh at that. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets actually drafted this guy. I really wouldn't. I think it would take somebody like,
They would. They'd trade order picks and pick him just like Ricky Williams. That's what the Jets would do. I believe.
Hey, Tommy, of all the years I've known you, that's the first time you've got me to laugh like that when you brought up the word midgets, by the way. because the first thing that entered my mind as I was talking to this guy was Doug Flutie. It really was.
The Bears called him a midget before they played him, and Marvin Harrison called Manziel a midget before the Bengals played the Browns. The other thing about Flutie is he was a hard worker. He was always in shape and prepared for games. Manziel wasn't that type of guy. So where does Pavia fall? That's the question.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Marvin, I already called on you, didn't I, or did I not?
You did?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Well, who's left? Candy?
So as I'm thinking about what all of you have talked about and the different quarterbacks and their height, Fran Tarkington was only 6 feet. Drew Brees was only 6 feet. Russell Wilson was 5'11". Doug Flutie, they list him here as 5'10". Kyler Murray's 5'10", and Bryce Young is only 5'10". So it's proven that they can have success. Now, the one thing Javier will have going for him, he's not going to be the number 1 pick. So he's not going to like Cam Ward, going to the worst team out there looking for quarterbacks. With that being said, I think on the right team, he'll do okay. But that's just it. Does he get drafted to the right team?
He wasn't a prolific passer either.
Well, Candy, what happens if he goes to the Jets? You think they're a darn elite team? Are you picking nuts? That's so stupid. They would draft this guy. And
you know what happened
there?
Scott, he'd be Sam Darnold probably. Get drafted number 3, and then we'd cut him. Then he'd go somewhere else and go play for a Super Bowl.
Okay.
That's the Jets.
Marvin, that's a different situation. Yeah, he'd be Sam Darnold. He'd get to
the common denominator is the Jets and their horrible decision making. Period. That's the common denominator.
Marvin, let me give you some good advice, okay? You ready? From the coach. Don't ruin Saturday's show, period, with Sam Darnold. Don't do it.
I won't. I got
Don't do it. But I'm telling you, I have a weird feeling about some of this stuff, okay? You're talking that I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets will draft this kid. Then you have even more drama in New York than you got now.
They show up to the games with bags on their heads.
Scott, you got to leave Alabama weed alone, man. It's affecting your thought process.
City, brother. Really? Seriously, really? But don't ruin your show Saturday. I got a lot of great ideas. I'm only getting high at Diet Coke and Mountain Dew in the deep South. Okay, mark my word. Okay, and I'm seeing some really interesting places in Mobile. I'm really pumped to be here. Let me tell you. If you ever knew, I mean, to me, my voice is being taxed really good. I'm loving every second of it. And I will go from one insane story to another one because it's only going to get worse. That's why Rachel canceled. He didn't want to talk about this stuff that we're talking about tonight. Anyways. But George Sanders is the name to the Browns to the let me go over it again. Shedeur Sanders' name to the Brown QB just got listed as a Pro Bowl replacement. 1,400 yards, people. And he had 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions and 3 and 4 as a starter. Is that the standard, Tommy, of a Pro Bowl quarterback? Shedeur Sanders?
No, but it's the standard. It's the standard of all-star sports in America. They're all meaningless. Used to be it was a big deal for the pro athletes to show themselves off against their rivals from different leagues, but now with free agency, the leagues don't mean anything anymore. American League and National League and baseball, and then the football, basketball. It used to be a huge deal that these guys, these giants of the game, would square off against each other. And now I remember when Ricky Waters, the 49ers, won the Super Bowl, and he elected to go to the 49ers parade instead of over to Hawaii for the Pro Bowl. And he got in trouble for it. He got fined for it. Now nobody would think anything of it. So none of these guys want to play in the Pro Bowl. And so it's made for guys like Shedeur Sanders to get some more experience, because the real players, they don't want to play. And you can't blame them. They don't need the money. Used to be they needed the money from the All-Star game. These guys, they don't need the money.
Well, Shedeur Sanders in the Pro Bowl. I'm going to tell you one thing about the Pro Bowl, and I've actually been to one of those games when I was in Miami. But the fact, I think the biggest mistake they did with the Pro Bowl is when they took it out of Hawaii. And that's because Aloha Stadium was getting older and run down. But when you took it out of Hawaii, that was a huge mistake for the Pro Bowl. And now we got Shedeur Sanders hit it. Oh, my God. It doesn't get any worse. All right, Candy.
So Shedeur is replacing May, because obviously we know where May is going to be. But it was supposed to be May, Justin Herbert, and Josh Allen. Herbert and Allen were dealt with injuries at the end of the season. Other AFC quarterbacks that they were going to put in there, Patrick Mahomes, obviously he's injured. Daniel Jones, injured. Denver Broncos, Bo Nix, also injured. The Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence was one of the top alternates, but Lawrence opted not to play in the event. So then, who else do they have? I mean, they've gone down the list so far already. So Sanders is the one that said yes. So yes, the Pro Bowl was a joke.
All I'll say, it's still absurd, period. All right, go ahead, Mel.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in years. I stopped watching it a long time ago. It's when they stopped putting the pads on there. And again, like Tom was saying, I mean, back when my dad was playing, man, they needed that check because in the off season they had to go get a job. They had to work. That money wasn't going to last all year, especially when you had 2 greedy kids at home, 2 greedy little boys at home that like to eat all day long and eat them out of the house at home. Even when I remember, when I was younger, it used to be a thrill to watch the Pro Bowl, because you get to see all your heroes, your sports heroes, playing against one each other, whether it be O.J. Simpson or Lawrence Taylor or whoever it may be. Billy Sims, man, I remember when he used to play, man, he loved playing in the Pro Bowl, and he played in the Pro Bowl like it was a regular game. And, at that time, money wasn't the way that it is right now. $200,000 back then or $100,000 to go to the Pro Bowl is a lot different than giving a guy $200,000 now to go play in the Pro Bowl. These guys just don't appreciate the game. They don't appreciate the history of the game. It's just like the NBA All-Star game. I mean, nobody watches that anymore. Slam dunk competition. Nobody cares about that stuff anymore. I mean, how many dunks can you do? I'm tired of seeing guys dunk over cars and all that kind of stuff. That props. That's just stupid. But I stopped. They need to come up with something else, to be honest with you, or just scrap it altogether. Because having Shedeur in the game, I mean, come on, he's going. I don't think being an alternate like he was. I don't know what his contract language is. But, a lot of guys get, a lot of guys that mean something because, your contracts are tied to that. Your bonuses are tied to that. And then your next contract may be tied to that as well. And then also Hall of Fame votes and stuff like that are tied to those types of things. So, I think it's really, it just shows you the state of the game right now. that that somebody like Shador, even when the kid from Baltimore went that one year, when Lamar Jackson was hurt, and I couldn't, I was like, what? How did he get there? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Marvin.
Yeah, I remember watching my dad play in the Pro Bowl. In the Pro Bowl, and for him, I watched replays and tapes, but the Pro Bowl used to be a real game. People don't understand that. It was a real game that they really tackled and they really, went for sacks and they really hit you. And I mean, in the 70s, 80s, this is when it was in Hawaii. He went 5 times. And I mean, it was I can't express it anymore. That it was a real game that they took very serious. I loved the Pro Bowl because I was a football freak when I was a kid, and like the idea of all the best players on the field was unreal, And even now, I look back at some of my dad's photos at the Pro Bowl, his team photos and position photos. Wayne Fonts, when you was his position coach, O-line coach. Wayne Fonts, old Detroit Lion head coach, your boy Scotty. It broke my heart. When Drew Brees got hurt, it really changed the game. He got hurt. He hurt his shoulder, I believe. And after that, they changed the rules, and now they're playing flag football, and it's just such a disgrace. It is such a disgrace what it's turned into. I understand it from we have more information now and head injuries and CTE. Your body has a hit counter on it. Your body can only take so many hits. So I understand why the players want to phase that out after getting more information. In regards to Shador, this is a home run for the NFL. Are you kidding me? I want to see what the numbers are for all the Shador lovers and all the Shador haters. They're going to hate watch him. Listen, like Floyd Mayweather, people will watch him because they hate him, but they want to see it. They still want to see the spectacle in their mind, So home run for the NFL. If this dead event is going to have any life, it will have life with Shador there because it's Shador. You know what I mean? And it says he's polarizing. Whether you like him or not, he's somebody that you think about because he's in the media and he's had success. I mean, this kid considering his circumstances, he had a good year considering the situation. You'd have to look at this differently now after seeing him get in there and get some reps. So the fact that they went down to the 6th man, 5th man, or whatever, that's normal. They do that every year. Again, it's only a big deal because it's Shador, and it's so I haven't watched a Pro Bowl event game in probably a decade. I'm more inclined to catch a little snippet because Shador's in there. I want to see what he does with it. I want to see his personality. He's great for media, obviously. And yeah, it is what it is, y'all. I just, I miss the days of the real game now.
Yeah, the other thing that killed the Pro Bowl is the seasons are so much longer. The games when Jim Brown played, the games were 12. The NFL season was 12 games, then it was 14 games, then it was 16 games. Now, 17 games, an 18-week season, and it used to be just a couple of rounds to the playoffs. Now the playoffs are 3-4 rounds long. So the players they're beat up by this time of the year.
And listen, Robert Kraft just came out and confirmed that we're going to go to a 2 preseason, 18 regular season game at some point here in the very near future. Of course we are. And this is all after they talk about player safety, head injuries, trying to make the game safer. People, it's not a sport. It's a business. It's about making money. That's the bottom line.
Well, the bottom line is Shador Sanders is a clown. And I'll tell you what, the clowns get what they want, as far as I'm concerned, by having this guy out there for the Pro Bowl. If he's a Pro Bowler, then Santa Claus is Jewish, period. And I'm leaving it at that.
Well, technically, we're all Jewish. Why is he a clown?
Who?
The man you just called a clown, Shador Sanders. Why is he a clown?
Well, he is a clown.
Okay.
Because I'm entitled to my opinion.
I know, but I wanted to hear. I'm not emotional. I just want to hear, like, what is it that he, I think,
that rubs you the wrong way.
Well, here's a clown. He came from Deion Sanders, who thought that Detroit couldn't afford him and had to put him on layaway.
Well, he was probably right.
Give me a break. We got the better Sanders out of it with Barry Sanders. I don't even go there. All I can say is Shador Sanders to me. He's just not a Pro Bowler. But if we're going to turn this into Hollywood with Shador Sanders in the Pro Bowl, what the heck?
Scotty, I assure you, if Deion Sanders and Barry Sanders were in the same draft, that I bet you 30 out of 32 teams would choose Deion without question.
Well, I'm glad that Detroit was one of the ones that didn't because because he started from start to finish, and I love Barry Sanders, and I
Me
can't.
too. Me too.
They weren't in the same draft.
They were in the same draft.
Who went
Yeah,
first?
Tony Mandrich.
No, who went first between Deion and Barry?
Don't even go there.
Barry did.
Okay.
Well,
Barry went number 2 to the
Barry
Detroit.
went ahead of Deion Sanders. That's all I can tell you.
That's
Yeah.
that. Now you have hindsight though. Now we know what Deion.
Detroit
became.
had the second pick.
Right, and Barry was great. Barry's one of the best. And I'm not knocking Barry. If you watching this, Barry, you are the man. I love watching you play.
All I'm going to tell you about Deion Sanders, if he thought William Clayford had to put him on layaway, then he don't know what the heck a darn billionaire is. If a man from Ford can't afford you,
I mean, back then the Lions were like the Jets. I mean, that's where you went to have your career. Really.
Yeah,
And
Barry did retire early because he got tired of
Barry
it.
thrived despite all that. He thrived.
But we had Rodney Peete at quarterback, so that's a lot there. But go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, well, I've always been.
No, look here. I have nothing to say negative about Rodney, man. You know, I'm still upset with him. He's the single reason why I didn't get to go to the Rose Bowl my second time my senior year. I still have hard feelings about that.
Well, Shelley,
Thanks for
you know
bringing
what?
that up.
I can imagine you loving Deion in Atlanta. Obviously, he did all right for them. It's just, Barry Sanders.
Oh yeah, man.
All right.
So, but,
This
Scotty,
city
all
this
right.
city was crazy.
huh?
All right,
This
Scotty,
city
he
was,
did all
this
right
city
for
was
them.
this city was crazy when Deion was here.
Well, I can imagine.
Him and Andre Rison together.
Oh, yeah, well, if you're bringing that, I imagine they probably went to Buckhead too, and Buckhead was even crazier with those guys there, right?
And they had Freaknik back then too.
Talking about freak off before Diddy, baby.
They had Freaknik then. And Atlanta was different back then too. I mean, Atlanta was wild.
I know some of the interesting places. Candy probably hadn't been to Atlanta a whole lot, but anybody that's dived into Atlanta
was off the chain.
Out there. I had to have former Atlanta coach Mike Fratello find me a hotel room, because we were good friends when I was covering the NBA when it was a real league instead of the National Drama League. Oh, I'll tell you, we're having a blast with this group, and I even have more topics to go. Hang in there, Tommy. We're in for a good one here. I'm taking on the stride with our senior bowl, and there's only 5 of us. Not a big deal. All right, so let's continue the insanity because the AFC East in the Super Bowl appearances 2000, New England's got 10. Buffalo don't have any. The Miami Dolphins don't have any. And yes, the beloved Jets don't have any. Tommy, what are your thoughts about the fact that it's all Patriots and goose eggs all across the board?
Well, what I like about the Patriots being in the Super Bowl is they did it 2 years after Bill Belichick was coaching a 4-win team. And speaking of Belichick, there's a scene in All the President's Men where Woodward is meeting with Deep Throat in the parking lot of Washington, D.C., and Woodward has to explain how he made a mistake on H.R. Haldeman, and the Washington Post is having to correct themselves. This is during Watergate in the movie All the President's Men, and Deep Throat yelled at Woodward. He said, "You did worse than that. You made people feel sorry for H.R. Haldeman." That's how I feel about this Pro Bowl snub for the Hall of Fame snub for Belichick. They did worse than that. They made people feel sorry for Belichick.
Tommy, I'll make a deal with you. Ready? Okay, Tommy, I'm going to make a deal with you. If you come on Saturday, I'll make that our lead topic on Saturday. How's that sound?
6:30 in the morning?
Oh, no, it's 6:30 my time, 7:30 your time.
Oh, okay, I got you. All right.
I'll incorporate that in a topic, and you can bash Belichick the whole show. But remember, I got to have a UCLA and USC topic with these two, so you can see a real battle royal with these two guys.
Okay.
Is that fair enough, Tommy? Let's make a deal here.
Tommy, you got to get up and take your Ovaltine early and get on this show, baby.
So you come on, Tommy, to join us on Saturday? I'll let
Okay.
you know Belichick all you want, okay? I'll find some topic. I'll create something. Oh, we'll make that a topic about that Hall of Fame stuff. All right, Tommy, you on with us Saturday?
Sounds good.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right,
How do you sell it,
show
baby?
going. Now you got me excited to prepare for this next show. Oh, it's going to be wild now. as if it was going to be a
I don't
wild.
want to get in the middle of these guys. I might have to watch most of it.
Don't worry. It'll be.
You got to bring some history. You always got to bring some history to it.
You'll never forget. Shelly, we love you in the chat room, sweetheart. Keep up the great comments with Victoria. Great stuff, Shell. Okay, Katie, what are your thoughts about the fact that Patriots 10 and the other one's got nobody, nothing?
It goes to show you that the franchise has got, the Patriots have got the stranglehold on that division. When we've talked about a year of, there has never been a year that has had more parity in it, and yet we're still with the same team. This tells me that the franchise built it and is doing it the right way. Them hiring Mike Vrabel was one of their smartest decisions they've had, and look how it's panned out.
Mel?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. You have to, Tennessee has to be kicking themselves for letting Mike Vrabel go. And I think we all probably were dumbfounded when Tennessee let him go. Nobody could find a reason or understand why they did that. What he's done there has been, remarkable. Turning that team around. But we all knew he was a good coach. We all felt he was a good coach, and he just waited, sat back, laid back, took a year off, and waited for the right opportunity to come along. And he's got the perfect opportunity. And I'm happy for him as a former player. I'm happy for him and as a former coach, and being able to stick it to his former employee. That they obviously made a mistake because they're on their second, third coach since he left. On their third coach now, I think it is, since he left. So, that has to feel pretty good for him. It would feel good for me. I like a little get back.
I just think the stats unbelievable. The fact that the appearances alone, New England have 10, and Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets have none. That's a part of the stat that blows me away. That none of them have at least one outside of the Patriots. Marvin, you can close out the top.
It makes perfect sense because leadership matters. And look at the Patriots organization just in the last 25 years. We're talking about Robert Kraft, one of the smartest owners in the sport, not a knee-jerk guy, not a guy who falls to the media and popular opinion, just a smart dude with a healthy ego. Bill Belichick, one of the greater defensive minds of our day. You know what I'm saying? Made some phenomenal draft picks, was a part of some really good draft classes, and coached these guys up. And ultimately chose Tom Brady. Tom Brady goes on to be the GOAT. This team was aligned, where other teams are in disarray and all over the place. So, and they had their own internal problems, but guess what? They won 6 Super Bowls through all that. Which speaks to their professionalism and just focusing on the right thing, which was a team. So. And then you look at the fact that you're talking about 10 Super Bowl appearances, and Bill Belichick is in a first-time Hall of Famer. That's just ridiculous. So, in regards to
Robert Kraft is not in the Hall of Fame, which I don't understand.
Yet, he will be.
Understood, but he should have been in there.
You look at the teams who are on the bottom there, just disarray. Ownership, GM, quarterback. We just don't have it. So you have to be in alignment to a degree. And you have to have the right caliber people owning the place, running the place, coaching the place, and playing the quarterback for you.
Yeah, you know what? And you know what, Marvin, you said a mouthful. That's the answer I'm looking for. You talk about ownership and they don't get the general manager right, and they're firing the coach. Obviously, we know the Buffalo coaching situation is different. They finally let theirs go, but the other ones have been a coaching carousel for quite a while. All right, let's continue the non-fight report. Obviously, there were 5 candidates that actually turned down the Cleveland Browns head coaching opening. Of course, we'll get to that in a moment about what happened today. Jaguars offensive coordinator Grant Udinski obviously decided not to do it. Chris Shula, Mike McDaniel, obviously is with the Chargers. The new Baltimore Ravens head coach Jesse Minter, and new New York Giants head coach John Harbaugh. Up until they announced that Todd Monken is going to be the head coach. Now Jim Schwartz wants out of there, which I expected to happen. Tommy, why did nobody want the Cleveland job?
That's why nobody wanted a Detroit job for so many years.
Right. No, I hear you.
Dan Campbell straightened things out. The Browns are a mess from their ownership on down. They drafted Johnny Manziel. They've had all these number one draft picks, and about the only one they got right was Myles Garrett.
Right.
So, well, they had a good running back for a while there, but it's the ownership, the program. They just disorganized.
Candy.
Yeah, who wants to go play for the Browns? Like, who wants to coach the Browns? I mean, yes, I understand when we're talking to NFL prospects here at the Senior Bowl, who do you want to play for? What do you want to? I just want to play. So I get if you get drafted to the Browns, you just want to play. But didn't Belichick turn away the Browns too? I mean, like the Browns, they're in a disarray all the way from the top, all the way down. I mean, they started last year with how many quarterbacks? We were talking about that. They had 5 quarterbacks starting on their roster, and we're like, what? Just not well organized, not well disciplined, not an organization I'd take a job. Well, maybe
Jimmy,
right?
Jimmy
But
Haslam is the major reason. The guy's a clown, anyways. And I like the word. In fact, I'm using clown a lot in the show because it is what it is. I've seen a lot of clowns, but Jimmy Haslam is definitely arguably the worst owner, I think, in pro football outside of Woody Johnson. Go ahead, Mel.
Yeah, I'd like to be that kind of clown. I mean, make sure you get it right. He's a rich clown. Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to play in Cleveland. I mean, the mistake by the lake. Nobody wants to play there. Ownership is in disarray. The franchise is in disarray. Somebody, it's going to have to take a very special type of individual to be able to deal with the ownership there. I think they still have the same general manager. Is the general manager still there? So
Andrew.
So I mean, unfortunately, just because the guy is very rich doesn't make him very smart. But obviously he has some intelligence. Doesn't make him very smart as far as running a football team is concerned. So, I mean, he has to figure it out. I mean, I know he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers for a long time, right? He's part of the minority ownership group with the Steelers, and then bought the Cleveland Browns. But obviously he didn't learn much from the Rooneys on how to run a franchise. So it's just not one of those attractive jobs for a veteran coach. For a young coach who has options, it's not very appealing because you know that you're not going to get very many opportunities. And if you look bad in those opportunities, kind of how people have looked going out there coaching the Raiders, it makes it very difficult for you to get another job. Although, their previous coach, he got another job. They fired a guy that won 16 games and brought in 16 games the last 2 years and brought in a guy that's won 8 games the last 2 years. Lost 5 of his last 6 games with Cleveland. The guy that he replaced won the last 4 games here in Atlanta. So I don't know. Maybe it's a springboard to a better job. I don't know.
Hey, Shelley, for some crazy reason, I have a feeling that Kevin Stefanski is going to do a good job in Atlanta. I don't know why. I just have a weird feeling he'll do all right. Matt Ryan is running the show there as well. And I think Matt Ryan is determined, and he's a really smart football person. I think he'll have more to work with in Atlanta than he did with Cleveland. Marvin, you have last word on this one.
Listen, Cleveland's a dumpster fire. They have a horrible track record with coaches, quarterbacks. Ultimately, it's leadership. Again, it's about alignment. Mel kind of touched on it a little bit. Their owner, Haslett, this guy's been great in the business world, but the football business is a different business. It's a people business. And I just don't think that he understands football culture, football people. His most recent hire, GM, I can't think of the guy's last name, is Andrew something. I see his face, but I can't think of his last name. This guy, he's one of these analytics guys. He's one of these super smart Ivy League dudes who look at football from a different perspective. And I think that's the problem. The guy they had before that, John Dorsey, drafted Baker Mayfield. People laughed at that. He said Baker Mayfield had Brett Favre in him. At this point now, I see a little bit of that. Baker is the guy in Tampa. Tampa's season was up and down, but they had injuries. Baker's a solid quarterback. You know, was it at reach at number one? You can argue that, but the guy is in his 5th, 6th year, and he's on a team still. We're playing on an extension and playing, you know, as a whole, okay, look the last couple of years. So, you know, they got that right. John Dorsey was a football guy. He came from Green Bay, and they let him go, and I just feel like it's been downhill since then, even before then. You know, when the Cleveland Browns came back to Cleveland in 1999, they had their first win against my New Orleans Saints, my rookie year. They beat us on a Hail Mary pass at the end of the game to win the game in 1999. It was heartbreaking, man. And that's the most success they had. And that's when they drafted Tim Couch. Disaster. Their track record is trash. If you're a college kid coming out of school, you want to go to an organization that's well ran. Nobody wants to play for Cleveland. Nobody wants to coach Cleveland. It's a hard situation because of their lack of leadership. So that's just what it is. That's what the history says. You go back 10 years failure, 20 years failure, 30 years. I mean, it's just what it is. So until they get it right at the top, who wants to be there?
Great points all the way around. Well, the bottom line is Jimmy Haslam goes on to one of the worst owners in sports, period. All right, well, this is Ravens star running back Derrick Henry, 32 years of age. He says he has no plans for retiring. And 1,595 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns this season, Tommy. Not bad for a guy that continues to pile up the yards. I love Derrick Henry. What about you, Tommy?
Yeah, he's had a great career. We talked about this before. I thought he was overrated at Alabama. He just had huge holes to run through. But he's proven himself year after year. He's a tough guy. He's been a great player. How many miles does he have on him? That's the question. But I wouldn't doubt him.
Yeah, if the Ravens had any sense, they'd keep him. Go ahead, Candy.
Listen, he crushed the Packers this year when he played. He had so many yards. It was, I mean, as an opposing fan of the team, he had so many yards, it was ridiculous. But you got to give him his due. Like, you got to give him his credit because he's still running hard. He's still running. He's still getting all those yards. He's still producing. The question will be is how will he be as used with the new regime that's coming in, and see how he performs depending on who is all there. Because obviously for a running back to really flourish, you have to have a good O-line to open the holes for you. So, but he, like I said, he ran all over the Packers this year. He did really well that game, at least.
Excellent points, Candy. Go ahead, Mel. That's your position.
And the guy's 10th all time on the rushing list right now. I mean, he's got 12,000 yards, if I'm not mistaken, almost 13,000 yards that he's rushed for. You know, the one thing about a running back is you got to be, available. You got to be available. And he's been available other than, I think, for a little short period of time where he might have been injured, but he's been available, and he's a problem. Back in the day, you used to have guys were, back when OJ played and even when Barry was playing and Emmett were playing, these guys gained all those yards and everybody knew that they were running the football. The running game was much more prominent back then than it is right now. Now they spread the ball around so much, move the ball around so much. There's so much space now for guys to run the football. And the linebackers are smaller than what they used to be. They play a lot more sub packages than they used to. They don't play base packages anymore. There's a lot more nickel package, dime packages out there. So you actually have an advantage on the offensive side of the ball a lot of times by personnel and size. That a guy with his size, you have to run the football. Why wouldn't you run the football? Because you have an advantage with him running the football. I take him one-on-one against a safety any day of the week. Even some of the linebackers out there right now, because now they're bringing safeties and bringing them down in the box, and they're playing linebackers, or they're converting safeties and making them linebackers because they need that extra coverage guy out there because teams are putting so many different receivers on the field and spreading teams out now. So, speed there's been more of a necessity for speed than there has been for size. Well, we know that football is kind of cyclical and things kind of come back around again. And, the one thing that travels is a good running game. You need to be able to run the football and run the football effectively. And that just takes a lot of pressure off of the rest of your team. You can run the football effectively. It opens up the passing game. Your defense is rested. Your defense is fresh. And, being able to run the football and being able to stop the run is important. And, Derrick Henry, man, he's been one of the best at doing it, since he's been in the league without question. And there's no reason for him to retire. Why should he retire? I mean, he's still playing at a high level. He takes very good care of his body. And knock on wood, he's avoided the big major injury because of the way that he prepares himself in the offseason and takes care of his body.
Marvin?
Yeah, listen, Derrick Henry is one of the great running backs of our day, no doubt about it. His numbers right now put him in the top 10, I believe, all-time leading rushers, definitely top 12. I will say this. I watched a few Ravens games this year. There were a few games where he had he fumbled it a few times when that's not really who he's been. I saw him, even though he finished out with the 16 touchdowns and 1,000 yards, and that's a hell of a performance by itself. I saw personally, I did see a little bit of decline just based on the fumbles and just areas in the season where they lost. They weren't good. A lot of it was because of issues with Derrick Henry. But at the end of the day,
1,600 yards. He averaged 5.2 yards a carry. Where's the decline?
I'm talking about
I'm sorry.
specifically
19 last year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, specifically in the turnovers. There were multiple games that I saw where he turned the ball over in key situations. With that said, I mean, he's still on pace to be a top 10 back, a Hall of Fame first ballot back. I have nothing but love and respect for him as a player. But it was hard watching him fumble a little bit more this year than he typically has.
I'll tell you the guy who he reminds me of is Earl Campbell.
I think it was more so when he fumbled as opposed to how many times he fumbled. He fumbled 3 times last year.
There were key games and key moments where he fumbled the ball, and I'm watching this. And
he fumbled 3 times last year. He fumbled 4 times this year. He carried the ball 300 times. He's going to lay on the carpet every now and then.
Listen. He's a beast. He has more fumbles.
Now, guys like you and I, we can afford to lay it on the carpet because we'd go to our locker and there'd be a note.
Yeah,
on the locker. We couldn't lay it on the carpet.
That's how they do it to you.
Well, I'll just say this: I think Derrick Henry reminds me a lot of Earl Campbell. He really just does, with his powerful nature, the way he can just bowl people over. All right, let's go back to college football.
Earl was a different type of guy. He was a bowling ball.
Well, he was a bowling ball, but I'll tell you what, the way he used to carry teams on his back is what Derrick Henry is, and that's how I mean it. Derrick Henry can carry a team, and so could Earl Campbell. And unfortunately, he's paying for it the hard way these days. So let's talk about the final bowl records for the conferences. Big Ten finishes out at 10-4. The SEC is 2-8. ACC is 9-5. Big 12 is 4-4. The American Conference 5-4. The MAC 2-3. Conference USA 4-3. Mountain West Conference 2-5, and the Sun Belt 3-5. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this, Tommy. What are your thoughts about which ones stand out the most? And we'll talk about what stands out.
Well, it was really interesting to see the Big Ten have such a big year and the SEC such a bad year, because they always say the Big Ten's strong at the top, but not at the bottom, and the SEC stronger at the bottom. But the bowl results don't bear that out. Illinois beat Vanderbilt pretty convincingly, didn't they? I think that was the bowl game they played. Iowa, no, it was Iowa that beat Vanderbilt.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, and so the Big Ten was a lot tougher this year than most years, and I think the bowl records bear that out.
Candy.
Let's face it. You had, from the Big Ten, you had Indiana, who won it all. You had Oregon that got how far, and you had Ohio State that got how far. I mean, I'm tired of all the time that I've heard that the Big Ten isn't a great football conference. It's not that bad. Come on, they play good, tough football. You have some of the winningest programs in the Big Ten. I just don't think they get the respect that they deserve. And kudos to the Big Ten for having the success that they had this year. I think part of it comes from the coaches that they have, that they've established themselves, and some of the schools they have in their programs. Kudos to them.
Mel?
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, for a while, the SEC was dominant in college football. I mean, that was the dominant conference. And, if you you give it the eye test, you probably still say that. And I think those numbers are a little bit skewed a little bit because I don't know if they include the playoff games. So you got teams playing multiple games in bowl that are considered bowl games now. But obviously 2-8 is not good, no matter how you look at it. You know, that number you can't skew. That number is not good. So that, you know, the big, obviously, I think the SEC is probably going to, you know, they probably realize that they're looking at the same thing that you're looking at. And I'm sure they're not very happy with it. And I think, you know, they're going to probably come out and try to change the narrative. But again, you know, kids aren't flocking to the SEC the way that they used to be, you know, because of NIL. Car dealers aren't the big boys on the block anymore. I mean, now you got these, you know, you got hedge fund money, you know, you got this other different type of money that you got this tech money out there now that the Big Ten, you know, schools in the Big Ten have access to. So it's just not the little car dealer and the money's not coming in like Ed Orgeron talked about in the back door anymore. It's coming in the back door anymore. The money's coming through the front door. So, you know, when the playing field has been leveled, it's been very difficult for the SEC.
Marvin?
Well, listen, let's be honest. The SEC, Nick Saban, Alabama, all these schools, they had NIL at a heavy, and they was doing it on a different way apparently. And as soon as it became level and everybody could do it, he wanted to bail out. You know, to me, the timing was funny. The advantage was over. And listen, a lot of the major schools had NIL before NIL. That's just how you did it. If your team was on TV consistently, if you were consistently winning games, playing in big bowl games, your team probably had NIL.
Yeah,
but,
like you guys, like USC.
Moving forward, you know, the SEC, you know, they have something special with theirs. And listen, it is what it is, man. The Big Ten is here. We are definitely the premier conference in America. I'm looking at the SEC, Shelley. They look like the new Big West. They look like the new Big 12. You know, they're fading out fast, boy. It's a rough fall from the top. It is. I think the SEC fans are at that point where they don't realize it's over. It's over. It is. It's over. Big Ten has the money. We have the teams. We have the champions. We got no-name teams coming out the woodworks, winning championships. And, you know, I'm excited for the future of the Big Ten. That bowl record, 2-8 for the SEC. Are you kidding me? I wasn't expecting that. You know, with that said, listen, things always change. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. So I think, you know, the Nick Saban SEC years were dominant. I mean, he was good. And you know, I joke about the NIL thing. At the end of the day, he was a great coach. He recruited elite players. He had a phenomenal program. You know, but it's just now there's more parity because everybody can get paid, and you're seeing, you know, these other schools fall out. So yeah, the change is not coming, y'all. Change is here.
Well, you know which one of these stands out to me? I'm way different than any of you. You ready? The Sun Belt 3 and 5, and I'll tell you why I say that. I can't believe they get that many bowl invites. That's all I'll say about it.
That's crazy.
I'll leave it at that.
No, we can't. 8 teams from the Sun Belt made a bowl game, but not UCLA. Think about that. Just think about the reality of who they are. 8 teams from the Sun Belt. I didn't even heard of Sun Belt. I never even heard of it.
What? Come on, Marvin. Great minds think alike. You guys are all talking about everything, and I like waiting last. And while you guys are talking about the NCAA not doing Big Ten good, I'm going to the Sun Belt Conference. Can't even believe this conference even got 8 bowl games, and they're 3 and 5. We'll leave it at that. Yes, UCLA didn't go. All right, I get it. All right, let's talk about Brian Baldinger. We're going to talk about a hypothetical thing. We got 4 regular topics and then takeaways before we wrap this puppy up. And Brian Baldinger actually said that the Steelers at one point were very interested in Mario Cristobal because of what old schools used to do. Now, obviously, we know that Mike McCarthy's landed the job, but hypothetically, okay, how would Mario Cristobal have done in Pittsburgh? I'm going to lead off with this. He would have taken that Pittsburgh job if he was not with the Miami Hurricanes. I'll tell you right now, because that's the best pro job out there. I think he would have taken it, but the fact he's with the Miami Hurricanes, that's why he didn't go, and that's why Miami's spent money. I won't talk about their latest, what they're doing, but he would have gone to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a good organization, but I to some extent, I agree with Baldinger because Mario Cristobal is an old school guy, and I've worked with him the last since 2022. I know Mario Cristobal better than a lot of people. Tommy, what are your thoughts about how Cristobal would have done with Pittsburgh? Because we all know what he's doing in Miami.
Yeah, well, it would have fit the Steelers' profile for hiring coaches because nobody really knew who Bill Cowher was. He was just a Kansas City Chiefs assistant coach when he got hired. Same thing with Mike Tomlin. He didn't really have a national name when he got hired.
Right.
So Cristobal would have been kind of a innovative hire, but I don't really think he's ready to be a head coach in the NFL. He's lucky at Miami. He's got a lot of talent. If you watch those Miami games, they make a lot of stupid penalties from the beginning of the year to the end of the years, and that's coaching.
Candy?
Mario's heart is in the Hurricanes. He loves the Hurricanes. I mean, he played for them, and I get it. And Tommy, I do. Yes, Miami has hurt themselves by making stupid mistakes. But the one thing I will say is Mario is a really, really good recruiter. Whether it be his current players or players outside, he is a really good recruiter. I think he judges talent pretty good too. They've brought in some really good guys. I mean, let's face it, they brought in Malachi Tony, who is a freshman who wasn't even 18 years old when he started on the team. And I won't spoil it because we're going to use this on a different soundbite, but Malachi Tony brought a lot of energy to this team that they didn't have before. When we talked to one of the Miami Hurricanes at Senior Bowl, he talks about that. So wait for that interview to come forward. But yeah, I think Mario would have fit in Pittsburgh. I think he would do good, but his heart right now is in Miami. So I see him staying there right now.
Exactly. That's the only reason why he's not the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, because he is a Miami Hurricane. Mel?
Bill Cowher, he was young, and he was a defensive coordinator with Kansas City before he came over. Mike Tomlin, I think, was a defensive coordinator with Minnesota before he came, but they weren't big name guys. Cowher probably was more so than Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin just kind of came out of the woodworks. I think I think he probably would have done well in the NFL if that's something that he wanted to do. If he wanted to coach in the NFL, I think that would have been an interesting hire. Obviously he would have been a name guy, unlike the previous two coaches that were there, that they weren't really big names, but just kind of came out of left field. Although I think Cowher, he was probably getting a little buzz at that particular time because Kansas City played some fierce defense back there when Coach Schottenheimer was the coach there. They played tough defense there. But it would have been interesting. But the guys are making so much money. These coaches are making so much money at the college level that the program doesn't have the same allure that it had back in the day. So I mean, they're just going to to stay where they are, as opposed to trying to prove themselves, saying I want to coach with the best of the best. Some of the best coaches are coaching right now in college football, and these guys are getting paid handsomely to do it.
Marvin?
I love Cristobal. The problem that any other team is going to have is a lot of people don't understand what a player's school means to him, especially in the pre-transfer portal days. When you made that decision, that was like choosing family. It was like choosing blood. It really is. Like the school you picked, that was going to be your school forever. Your kids may go to different schools. You support them, when you need to. Your wife, your school is your school. And to be able to be the head coach of this isn't, South Florida, no offense, Scott. This isn't Central Florida. This isn't FIU. The Canes, you get to be the head coach of the Canes, and you played for the Canes, and the Canes is trying to get back to a certain level, and they're going to give you the resources to do so. Man, it is going to, you would have to offer him something that is beyond money for him to leave the Canes and go coach anywhere else. I really believe that. Cristobal would be wildly successful in the NFL, especially in a place like Pittsburgh, who has great ownership. And again, when we talk about alignment and we talk about what it takes to be great, we're talking about head coach, GM, quarterback. The ownership's in place. Their GM seems to be pretty solid, okay? They bring a guy in like Cristobal after Mike Tomlin would have been phenomenal. I think he's the kind of guy that can capture the hearts of men. I think he's the kind of guy that men respect. and I think he would have done outstanding. It's going to be you're going to need a Scott Morgan Ralph sales pitch plus some money to get this guy out of Miami. I mean that.
You're determined to slip that Scott Morgan Ross sales pitch in there.
It's a compliment. Got to come from the world of sales.
I know.
You are good.
I'll go with the sales stuff, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the reality of the situation, everybody's right. I think he would have done great in Pittsburgh, but the problem is the Miami Hurricanes, Any other job, he's gone. This one, he's not going anywhere because that's where he's from. Is for the national championships and the fact that he wants to get this program to where it's at, and then he's closer to an extension before he's leaving Miami now, taking him to the finals. That's for sure. All right, 3 more regular topics to hit too. We're going to talk about the Hoosiers. Indiana's first team to go 16-0 since 1894 when Yale pulled the trick. And the Hoosiers have the biggest turnaround as they went from dead last in the Big Ten in 2023 to 2024. And obviously, we talk about the fact that they were 3-9 a team before, and now you've got 16-0. That's just unbelievable. Well, let's talk about Yale for a minute, Tommy. 1894, the last time we saw a 16-0 team. Gosh, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah, that 16-0 stat is a little bit overrated. I mean, the other teams never had a chance to play 16 games, so who knows what their records would have been. In 16 games for Yale back then. Who did they play? Who was on that schedule? It was all the teams that were within driving distance, and it might have been some athletic club in New Haven. But as the season went along, Indiana was more and more about coaching, that those guys were so fundamentally sound, so disciplined. And then the other thing was that, they were 23-year-old players that were mature players playing against a lot younger guys. So Cignetti, his coaching was undeniable. That was the biggest part of their success. The one story that I never read out of that year, everybody talked about how Mendoza was not recruited out of high school. He was a 2-star or whatever, and he was going to go to Yale until Cal offered him a scholarship at the last minute. What was his arm strength in high school? Did he make a big jump in arm strength? And quarterbacks don't really improve their arm strength that much. You're either kind of born with it, aren't you, Mel and Marvin? That's the one story I never heard about, how his arm strength developed between high school and what he was at Indiana.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have that answer. I mean, and then we all know that that scoring system is not an exact science. Obviously, he's somebody that a lot of people missed on. A lot of things can happen. I mean, he could grow taller. He could get stronger. You get in the right type of program, you can get stronger. You can improve on the velocity, through your mechanics. He might have had poor mechanics. So there's a lot of things that a good quarterback coach could have worked with him on, and strengthening his arm, doing some isolated exercises and strengthen his arm. But I mean, nothing's going to make him go from throwing beach balls to, and then make it a howitzer or something like that. I mean, but obviously he has a lot of things going on in between his ears as well. So, he's a smart kid, extremely smart kid. And, sometimes it takes people a little bit longer to mature. I mean, he might've been a lanky kind of kid, might have been a little clumsy, may have been a little uncoordinated. Who knows? I don't know. I didn't see him come out of high school. I never saw him play at Cal, so I really couldn't answer that question.
So, Tommy, let's face reality. We know you're right that 16-0 with Yale probably included a few athletic clubs and all that. But 16-0, 16-0. And now I have to have a stat to compare back to 1894. And that's the only thing I can get to it. It's okay, but you're right. I have to have something to work with. They mentioned it out there in the wire services, 16-9, 16-0. And now we got one. Albeit it took over a century to do it, a century and a quarter to do it. And of course, 3-9 to 16-0. Now that's surreal. And we've already beat the topic to death anyways with Cignetti. We'll probably keep doing it because there's going to be more things that come out I have to report on. Candy?
If you look at how they played and how disciplined Indiana played this year. A lot of that has to do with coaching. But if you look at over all the colleges, there's only one college that was penalized yards per game less than Indiana. Indiana averaged 27.6 yards per game. The only one that was less than that was Army, who played 13 games, and their penalties per yards per game penalized were 21.9. On the other end of the spectrum, if you want to go to 136th team was Louisiana Tech, played 13 games, and they were penalized 78.5 yards per game. Discipline matters, and Kurt Signetti really had his players disciplined and playing well, coached well, and coached them to play the game that they were playing in front of them and not looking ahead always. And some of these teams, they look ahead and they think, oh, this might be a less opponent, so let's start prepping for the next game. Kurt Signetti had Indiana prepped for each game that they played, each opponent that they played. Did a heck of a job.
Well, history is what it is. Yale still is 16-0 back in 1894, no matter who they played. And but we know the national champions now have Indiana Hoosiers. And let's not lose sight of the fact that the Big Ten has won 3 straight national championships. Mel?
I mean, what Indiana did was extremely impressive, going 16-0, because most of the national champions have not played in their conference championship game. They weren't in that, so they didn't have that extra game. Indiana played in every game, and with each game, they had a lot more to lose. If they were going to lose, if they're going to take an L, they would rather take an L during the season or lose the conference championship. Once they won the conference championship, they had to run the table. And so, when you're talking about kids between 18 and 23 years old and they don't know what's going on in their life, and then Candy alluded to them, how they're so disciplined, they don't beat themselves. That's critical. That's key, that they don't beat themselves. They play clean football, and they play tough football. And each game, more and more and more and more is on the line. Forget about history. It's just a matter of winning the national championship. And for them to do it, they had to do it the way they did it once they got into the tournament. There was no other way for them to do it other than running the table. So what they did is extremely impressive. Now, you and Tom could probably tell us more about that 1895 team since you guys were around then, but I couldn't tell you much about that team.
Marvin, do you have any ancestors that were around in 1894?
It's funny you talk about ancestors, because I'll be honest. First of all, let me just say this. I know that, in the late 1800s to like the 1940s, Harvard, Yale, Army, Navy, these were the Pete Carroll USC.
Notre Dame.
These were the, Nick Saban Alabama teams. And Notre Dame's up there as well. But really Harvard and Yale. And Yale had won multiple national championships, and I get all that. Personally, I really look at a lot of these teams pre-segregation differently when you consider how many players that these HBCUs were getting into the NFL. I look at it differently. I do, but I respect the fact that they win those games. I think when you look at Kurt Signetti, for him to go 16-0 in this day and age with no 5 stars and with the roster who this past roster wasn't paying 40 mil, 35 mil, 30 mil like some other teams out there. I mean, we're talking about just a coaching performance that is all time. And you have to put up that team. And I mean, I really emphasize team because you're not going to have I don't think you're going to have a ton of first round picks coming off this roster. You'll have NFL players for sure, led by their quarterback. But I mean, this is the ultimate coaching job, man. And I have nothing but respect for what he was able to do. To think you can win 16 games in college in one season. Yeah. That's like 4 seasons for UCLA. To win 16 games, So look, I absolutely have nothing but respect for this man. No shade to Yale. I believe that Yale, Harvard, Yale, Army, Navy, they was really those teams back then. I believe that. So yeah, it's a great achievement. And as a college football freak, someone who appreciates good leadership, nothing but respect for Kursignetti and what he was able to do this year. This was a historic team.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about this is this, okay? And I've joked around about it a couple of times. I don't care how Yale got to 16-0, they're 16-0. We know that Indiana did it. But now you could be seeing 16-0 a lot more with the playoff system, where more teams could be if they're elite teams. So you may see 16-0 now. Hey, listen, for a while we had 12-0, 13-0. College football breeds more undefeated teams than anything on the planet. And now here we are with another 16-0. So I think the next 16-0 team will come a whole lot sooner than 130 some odd years for sure. All right, Shelly's putting it out there. When I found Yale, Trinity, Wesleyan, Brown twice, Crescent, AC, Dartmouth, Orange Athletic Club. Well, there you go. There's the athletic clubs are in there. Okay, Lehigh, Harvard, Princeton, Boston, AC twice, New York AA twice, Carlisle, Penn. Wow, we got another stat reacher out there. Great stuff, Shelly.
Thank you, Shelly.
Have you seen any relation to Norm?
Yeah, I don't know. She'll probably answer that. All right. Well, this one next topic is rapid fire. The Houston Texans are still the only team not to play in a conference game championship. They're 0-7. Tommy, some thoughts about the Houston Texans as the only team not to even make a championship game?
Well, they haven't been around that long either. I mean, they're an expansion franchise from not too long ago.
Yeah.
But the big takeaway from that game was C.J. Stroud was a big learning experience for him because he was so bad in that game. It was mystifying how bad he was. But I don't get caught up on stuff like that, those kind of stats.
Okay. Fair enough, Tommy. That's fair enough. Candy?
Hey, Shelly.
Mel, Shelley has an answer for you.
He was really.
How about that? A good bloodline, Shelly. All right, Candy.
So as far as Houston not making it, I think they're getting close. I think they kicked themselves in the foot this time, but I see them getting there sooner rather than later.
Okay. Mel, rapid fire on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like Tom. I don't really get into those stats that much. They haven't been around that long. It takes time to learn how to win. You know, it takes time. Every year is a different team. I don't really give a whole lot of credence to this stuff like that.
Okay. Well, it's out there. We gave it about as much attention as we're going to get. Marvin, some thoughts.
If they don't figure out that quarterback position, that streak of not making a championship game is going to continue because C.J. Stroud played well as a rookie. Man, he's looked bad, in my opinion, over the last 2 years, especially this past year, especially the last few games he played. I mean, he was bad, man. They're going to have to revisit that whole situation to have a chance to compete for a championship.
Yeah, sad is what it is. They haven't been around that long, but nevertheless, it's still out there. We report on it, and it's still hard to believe, though, that they've been a pretty successful franchise for the most part. Now they finally got the coach right. But 0-7 and not getting to a championship game, it'll be out there until they win one. So another rapid fire comment, then we'll have some takeaways from the championship games. The Manning cast failed to reach 1 million viewers at any point this season. It's the second season every episode of the Manning cast exceeded 1.1 million viewers. This past season, only 2 episodes even hit the 900K mark. Tommy, what are your thoughts overall about the Manning cast?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. It was kind of a novelty. I tuned in and watched it a couple of times. I think they probably got a boost out of Belichick being on there a few times when Belichick actually showed a personality. But, I don't think it's not a format that is going to last a long time because it just gets old after a while. The best format that I ever saw, I think it was Alabama and Clemson played in the national championship, and ESPN did a living room setting, and Bill Walton showed up dressed up in an Uncle Sam uniform, and Bill Walton was hilarious that day. But even that will get old after a while.
That's funny how you go ahead and slip that Belichick. Candy, just remember, I got to stack the jacket 1 or 2 Belichick comments because we're getting Tommy up early. Okay. Some thoughts about Manning. Tommy, you're a trip, right? at a time when I need you to be one. Good stuff, Tommy. I needed you
I
tonight.
think- I was gonna say, I think ManningCast is the problem with ManningCast is they have too many celebrities, too many other people on it, trying to bring it more attention to it. I think as football junkies, let's face it, how many former NFL players are now in the broadcast booth? You have Drew Brees, you had Tom Brady, you have all these other guys calling games as it is. I think when Manning's talked more on one-on-one with the players or did deep dives, it was more interesting. And I think that's where they're losing it. They're trying to make it more of an entertainment show, and maybe that's what Disney wanted. But I like listening to football players tell insides about plays. I thought Tom Brady got a lot better throughout the year. And I just, Manning brothers, as much as they were good on the field, I don't care for the others celebrity part of it.
No.
What happened? Is it getting canceled or something like that? Is that what's going on?
No, the ratings.
It's
The
not
rating.
canceled.
Yeah, I think the ratings are massive decline. I think.
Yeah, I don't watch it. Yeah, I just want to see football. I don't, all the other stuff I don't want. I just want to watch the football game when I watch them. Monday night. Sometimes I don't always watch the Monday night game, but I definitely don't watch the ManningCast, and that's nothing against them. I just want to see the football game if I want to watch the football game. I'm sure it's entertaining. I'm sure there's some people who enjoy it, and more power to them. That's just not how I want to look at football.
Marvin.
Yeah, I've tried to watch it. I actually, listen, I think Peyton Manning and his brother could be funny at times. I like some of their commercials, and I think they're good dudes, man. The show, it just doesn't do it for me. Mel's right. Like when I watch the game, watching football on TV is the best place to watch it. It's the best product. You're at home, your couch, your toilet, your fridge. You got all your stuff. Get the replay. They do too much non-football stuff to me, too much joking about, and I just want to see the game, the replay, and I want to hear the analysis. So, it's unfortunate for them, but these guys have been very successful, and football has been very good to them. I think they'll be okay regardless of how this thing goes.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are declining. I just don't like the idiosyncrasies of what they do. I just don't. I'm a nuts and bolts guy. Give me the information, put it out there for me. I understand ESPN's looking to draw a different type of audience or something different. I just don't think that they get it right in this situation. And as Shelley says, I love the Mannings, but when I watch football, I want football. I want all the extras. Thank you very much for reinforcing.
I guarantee you, Shelley's got some great stories.
I'll bet she does.
Yeah,
Shelley,
she's got some great stories.
Well, you just read my mind. Thank you very much. So put it up there again, so we can and Candy read her comments. For me, it's the idiosyncrasy. Please read these.
She got the right jersey on too.
Right.
She said, "I love the Mannings, but when I watch football, I want football. I don't want all the extras."
There you go, Shelley. Great minds think alike.
It's kind of like when I watch news, the Today Show. I mean, I just want to watch the news. I don't want to see all the stars coming there and all that kind of stuff. I just want the news.
There you go, Mel. You're on point. All right, final topic of the night, if there is such a thing. It's the takeaways with the championship game. New England at Denver, LA Rams at Seattle. We'll start off with Tommy. Give me your thoughts on both games.
The Denver game, I knew that was going to come back to haunt them when they didn't kick the field goal.
Right.
How could you not try to go up 10-0 when you have this young quarterback who had virtually no experience at all in the playoffs? And that was such a blunder. I didn't expect it to be a 10-7 game, but I thought it would be a factor somewhere along the line that they were going to regret missing those points and not taking a 2-score lead. So that was interesting. And the other thing about the weather, I know we've had classic games, the Packers and the Cowboys, but I remember the Chargers and the Bengals because I was at that game. I covered that game when it's just not when you play the Ice Bowl. When you play in that kind of weather, it's just not it's not football anymore.
Right.
And I just don't think they should play those. But you know, that's the other thing. They didn't when you started off the playoff formats, and the home team, the team with the best record would have the home field advantage throughout. That was when the regular season ended in December or late November. Now you're going into January and February when the worst winter storms come along. So I think those championship games should be played in neutral sites in a dome in good weather. Seattle is just, man, they're just so dominant on both sides of the ball there. So, and you got to feel good for Sam Darnold to the way he's resurrected his career and shut up a lot of critics. But the Seahawks are so tough on defense. I didn't realize how tough they were on defense.
Yeah, they're good. Candy, I know how you feel. Go ahead. I can put it out there.
So, Scott, you know, when they didn't kick the field goal in the first quarter, I said, that's going to come back to bite them in the butt. I said, my question is haven't you looked at the weather report? Didn't you know that it was going to start snowing in the second half and the weather was going to be that bad? And if you knew that, why wouldn't you try and get as many points as you could in the beginning? And yes, I get fourth down. Oh, Dan Campbell effect. Everybody's going for it. Well, that's just because Dan Campbell always went for it didn't mean it was always the right thing to do. In this day and age, with a backup quarterback, it was not the right thing to do. You want to get your points on the board when the weather was good, because let's face it, in the first half, the weather was a lot better than it was in the second half. That's a Sean Payton. But as for Seattle, you know, it was the team that they had a dominant defense, and yet the Rams still could have won that game. You know, the 27-31 close game. Yeah, it was just unfortunate. I mean, you felt unfortunate for Matthew because Matthew was still trying to go for it, but Seattle is tough. I think that the Patriots are going to have their hands full. That Seattle is going to take.
Mel?
Yeah, Shelly said she has a lot of stories for us, but they have a lot of bleeps in them. I understand that. I just bleep out the bleeps. I just take out the bleeps. Our stories have a lot of bleeps in them too, but I just don't say the bleeps. I didn't watch a lot of football. I didn't watch any of the games this weekend. To be honest with you, I was studying for an exam, so I didn't get a chance to see. But I did hear the talking heads talking about it. And Candy alluded to it that you know, in inclement weather, points are a premium. I mean, anytime you have an opportunity to get points, you need to put points on the scoreboard because you don't know when you'll have another opportunity to put points up. And Nick Wright was saying, if anybody should have known what the weather was going to be like in the second half, more so than anybody, it should have been Sean Payton. He should have known what the weather was going to, you know, that weather was coming in, and that, you know, they needed to get as many points on the scoreboard prior to that weather coming in as they possibly could, and they didn't. So, you know, again, I'm not, you know, much of a Sean Payton fan. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way. So it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I'm happy for Sam Darnold, even though I'm never really cared for him. And I think I've said it on this show here. I never really thought he was all that much, particularly probably because he went to that other school. But I had to say, you know, some of the throws, I know a throw that he made in the divisional round was an unbelievable throw. What he did in the championship round, you know, I'm happy for him. You know, that's I love guys that you know are able to give their previous employer that middle finger, you know, and let them know what they missed out on. You know, get some get back. I'm all about that. I'm all about getting some get back. I don't have anything wrong with it. You know, a lot of people should, you know, there's a lot of people that should be asking themselves questions as to how, you know, they allowed him to get out of there. What did they do? Like a lot of people say, you know, more first round quarterbacks are ruined than are made. And, you know, he was one of those guys that was ruined. Because of the franchises that he played with, but, you know, extremely tough mentally dude. real happy for him. And either way, whoever wins, I don't have a dog in the fight. Doesn't matter to me. But either way, it's going to be a great story because there's great storylines on both sides of the field. So, and the one common thing, if you look at all the 4 teams that are in the championship game, they all have quarterbacks on palatable contracts. I mean, that's the common thing. I mean, you can't build a team when you have a quarterback who has an albatross contract. I mean, who said the quarterback needs to be paid $60 million? I mean, who said that? I mean, all these guys are real sharp, real smart guys, but who said a quarterback needs to make $60 million and that's going to guarantee you a Super Bowl?
Great point. Marvin.
You muted.
The conference championships I thought were decent games. Denver definitely had their back to the wall going into that game with the backup quarterback. I wasn't really surprised with Sean Payton not going for it because in the press and all the media stuff before that, he was trying to sell us on Jarrett Stidham being, he's ready, he's really a starter, and just letting you know he's going to be aggressive and go out there and just do it as if he had Drew or Bo. And obviously that didn't work out for them. I think the team who had the team that was healthier ultimately, I think, won that game. And then with Seattle, listen, this is a game Seattle had to have. Sam Darnold had to play a certain type of game. Their defense had to show up, and I think these things happen. Stafford is an all-time great quarterback, man. I love Matt Stafford. Puka Nacua showed out, did his thing. Devontae Adams, still got a lot of juice left in him. But I think Seattle at home, that offense rolling, defense attacking, they're tough to beat. It was a good game. I think the better team won. I'm looking forward to seeing what Sam Darnold does in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about the first game, obviously, with New England, Denver, Mike Vrabel's done a heck of a job. We had Steve Ballesteri on Saturday, and I'm not surprised that he got there. But again, when you have a backup quarterback and you have 3 points, that was a tough game for kickers all the way around because of whether Andy Borregales is a much better kicker than he showed. But he's a heck of a kicker, but you can't let Candy settle along. You can't leave those 3 points on the board at that particular time. As for the late game, LA and the Rams, I'm just happy for Cooper Kupp that he's going back to Super Bowl. The Rams gave up on him. He goes back to Super Bowl. The Rams are going home. That does it for this edition of Inside the Pitch. But, Tommy, you got about a minute or so to do the Shanahan report, and you get to do it again on Saturday as well. And then we'll let everybody we'll go around the horn. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, visit my website, tomshanahan.report, and then I'm on Twitter, Shanny4055.
And anything else new that you want to mention real quickly?
Yeah, not tonight.
Okay, no problem. Save it for Saturday. We'll give you extra time when you hammer Belichick because I know you'll be huffing and puffing looking to blow the Belichick.
I didn't really write anything this week.
Okay, no problem, Tommy. All right, well, go ahead. Mel, let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
Find me on all the social media at Melfar Jr. Follow what we have going on. For the youth, when we do it again, at melfarsuperstarfoundation.org.
Okay, Marvin, go ahead.
Yes, you can catch me on social media, Marvin Powell III. Marvin on the mic is my handle. You can catch me. Got 5 shows. I'm fortunate to have 5 shows. I'm on 5 shows here with the South Florida Tribune. Monday,
the hardest working man in show business.
You can catch me twice a week on Locked On USC, and that's it.
Candy, take us home.
The South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 45 plus years in the media business and how it has evolved. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. It's also out in audio version, so if that's the version you prefer, go find it today as well. If you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you'd like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. Last but not least, if you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to the South Florida Tribune YouTube. What are you waiting for? Just click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family, and then turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. Back to you, Scott.
All right, well, here's our schedule the rest of the week. So we're going to have Fire Up tomorrow, Night Candy, and the Country Club will be at it. And of course, now we'll have the Saturday edition of Inside the Pigskin. We call it Marvin Against Mel, and with all of us watching on. And Tommy will be the latest spectator to watch it. And he's going to have his opportunity to take a shot at Bill Belichick because he's his favorite person on the planet, just like Dave Doran is mine. Okay, forget it. Well, and everybody knows about the Dave Doran story by now, but that one is to be continued in Charlotte during the summer. But, so hope you can join us for Saturday morning. Candy and I are in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. It's been a great experience so far. Lots of people that I've spoken to, hoping to get a couple more tomorrow. And of course, Saturday is the game. And then we go ahead and make our way back to South Florida. So live from Mobile, Alabama, Scott Morganroth, Candy Ebling are here, and Marvin and Mel are in Atlanta, and Tommy's in North Carolina. But here we are talking about the gridiron. So on behalf of Tommy, Candy, Mel, Marvin, Apollo III, my name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you. All of us will see you on Saturday. Candy will have her show tomorrow night. Take care, everybody. God bless, and thank you very much for joining us. And Shelly, you are awesome in the chat room. We appreciate you very much. You were fantastic for Jimmy Walker's version. You are dynamite. Okay, dynamite, but I don't have a voice to do it right. So there you go. Good night, everybody. See you next time. Bye now.